do load into that pick and ban phase and get to see which side has been selected. Oh, Kanga with the first pick.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a Thresh ban. If I was to say anything, Bulldawg, I don't know exactly the depths of his champion pool, let's say, but he was clean with that Thresh. And Bulldawg and Frost able to work together pretty nicely if they've got a Jinx Aphelios player down there, but that's not the way that we're going to go with the bans. We've got the LeBlanc, the Tryndamere, the Karma. So I would say effectively 2 big carry solo lane bans into a Karma ban to me is looking like a Victor first pick angle. Dials with a lot of deliberation here, however. And I know that I just said Victor first pick angle. We haven't even seen a Victor. So yeah, wouldn't that be refreshing?
It would be nice.
But LeBlanc,
Caitlyn is going to be removed away. Has to be, really. What is the priority? No, it is still towards that bottom lane. Jinx seems to be the tier 1 option if anything's available. Yeah,
Caitlyn ban, Jinx pick. You're probably looking at that Aphelios Thresh trade-off on the other side.
Sure.
Doesn't need to be Thresh. But yeah, the Aphelios or Jhin, Nautilus, still one of those other duos that we're seeing down in the bottom lane. Usually the red side will try and 1-2 a bot lane combo in situations like this, but if there's a jungler of priority, like a Viego, a Xin, something like that that stands out, you may go for, you know, the Jhin and the jungler just to have a better composition overall.
Does ask the question though, is only wanting that early pick, does he need to guarantee a good matchup for himself? Is he quite happy to wait around to see what Goodo decides to try and make sure that that spicy and potentially volatile matchup works in his favor? What do they go for? Do they go for the Thresh that Bulldawg played so effectively yesterday, or does he decide to show us something a little bit different? No, Zhin will be denied. Okay.
So that's expected, right? That's kind of the expected result as junglers will go. You're looking at probably a Lee Sin for only as your standard response. You could go for the Jarvan, given that there's already a Jhin, so a non-mobile AD, but Thresh still exists on the cards, or like means to counter it exists. So this is your natural choice. You would say the Viego is actually going to be picked on the other side. The Thresh goes with that.
Okay.
So the makings of a pretty strong pick composition. Keep in mind, however, the TF is banned, the LeBlanc is banned, and Corki being removed does limit a bit of the options there. So they may veer from like Thresh into a team fight Thresh type of composition.
Certainly could do. Just touching on that Viego quickly, it was a champion that only played a whole bunch in playoffs last year. Had some very strong individual performances, not only allowing himself to get ahead, but to empower the rest of his team. Excited to see him play that one once again. Lionel going to get the Thresh, as you already touched on. Look to try and disengage away from what is a very scary engage threat with the Leona and that Xin. Couple that then obviously with the Jhin to make sure that there is no escaping. Get to see though what these bans entail. They remove the Renekton's. They're going to try and limit Liv's potential to try and be that lane bully.
Okay, yeah, so they're getting rid of some, I guess, effectively AD blind picks for top lane. They're not sure exactly what it's going to be. I think that's just a safety ban, to be honest. Just kind of get rid of the Renekton. It's free setup for a Xin Zhao if he was going to be ganking that lane. Beyond that in top lane, I mean, obviously you can get some crowd control with tanks up there. DRAK is actually going to do the exact same thing. We are getting to a very interesting place in top lane. Graves still exists, Skimmy.
That's exactly my point. I would love to see the Graves ban too from Kanga.
Gwen is an option. I think with both of these bans, Gwen starts to get a little bit more lucrative a pick. It's the most seen champion, I believe, in top lane, at least in the LPL. That's the region I watch.
Yeah. Carly's gone. Are they going to go for another top lane ban? I say it because zorenous has been spamming this Graves. 21 games so far in solo queue. It's been really his go-to so far to ensure that if it is available, it can be played. Does Liv feel confident? Does he welcome it? Was there another position that they feel a need to remove? Mid lane obviously still up in the air.
Could be a Jace ban. Like Direwolves could be still looking at a Jace angle poke style composition, but yeah, I mean that's again an expected ban. We're kind of going down the list of top laners. We've already gone down the list of mid laners through the first 3. For mid as well, we have Zoe, Ryze, Vex, and Orianna are probably your next 4 for priority in general. Zoe caters more towards, like I just kind of mentioned, the Jace Jhin composition. So
yep.
Xin Zhao and Leona are very good at bodying out for the damage from those carries behind them, which is what a Zoe and a Jhin will do.
It's our first Zoe of the year as well, which is nice. So a bit more pick potential, as you highlight, and makes it very hard to try and disengage away from, right? You find that one initial bubble, and anybody locked in place. It is a go button if you have ever seen it. Even puts more emphasis now on this Thresh to perform with the lantern, with the disengage, and whatever else is available for them. There's the Malzahar though. Very impressive champion. Picked in very select scenarios. What do you reckon?
Yeah, selectively by Chungy, I think, is the select scenarios. Malzahar is one of those picks where, like, you can play so hard for pressure around a Thresh and a Viego working together. You can effectively say assassinate someone, right? Get the resets on the Viego, get the resets on the Jinx. Probably want a little bit of extra damage or damage augmentation here. They're going to go hard engage instead, okay.
Okay.
Malzahar also forces the QSS tax from a lot of carries that maybe don't want it. It also means that you don't want to run cleanse in lane if you're forced to build a QSS.
Yeah.
So there is kind of a lot of awkward little details that come from this pick. I'd still personally rather have a Zoe on my team most of the time if I was to choose. But the Ornn blind opens the floor here for Zorenous. Pick whatever you would like, mate. The matchup is effectively going to be free. And so
That's
they
gone
go
for the
for
Camille.
carry.
Yep, gives them that potential, right, not to be too reliant on finding that pick. Obviously, that is a primary avenue for them, but some split push potential, also to match some of the items scaling that Ornn is looking to provide, right? 2 to 3 item breakpoint for that Camille can be an absolute menace, give you a bit of a headache, and especially punish you when those teleports aren't available. What do you think as a whole, I suppose? Because, I mean, I look at Kanga, as you say, it is on brand for Chungy. He was known for playing a lot of utility last year. And this was a pocket pick that came out in those scenarios where it could be a case of you can be annoying, but I can be just a tad more.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're going to compare compositions from Kanga between yesterday and today, this is miles ahead. All right?
Yeah.
This is such a vast improvement in my mind from compositional strength. They did double down a little bit with a pick type of composition, but Malzahar's more diverse. Level 6, right? It is an ultimate, it is a pick. Beyond that, you know, you get the full items, you get multiple rotations of a Q off. You're still a team fight control mage, in a sense, and Lived rounds it out with team fight long distance engage. The Iwils on the other side have a pretty strong 4-man unit with a Zoe and a Jhin on the same map. Good bodying and control from a Xin Zhao and a Leona. And then Camille can play for team fights, can play for split push, is more flexible in the itemization choices in that top lane, where you know what an Ornn is going to provide. I like the Direwolves composition, but I do feel, once again, that if Kanga gets an early lead, their comp can kind of run away with it, right? Because a behind team being forced into a QSS tax is devastating.
Certainly is. Delays the inevitable, right? If you're looking to try and play ahead and be annoying and have all this damage from afar that looks to try and one-shot somebody, how are you going to find that when you've got to invest all that extra gold into that item just to even be able to play the game? It's going to be interesting to see what we can see from the bot lane of Kanga, especially as you already highlighted. It wasn't the best opening day for them, but a very strong pairing for them to play from. And certainly could be one, given the interaction between the Thresh and Leona, for Lionel to dazzle with.
They're definitely going to have to dazzle Skimmy. Looking at junglers as well in this one. Not just the whole top side of the map and how it gets involved, because that's where a lot of the action is going to be in our minds anyway. Junglers are probably going to be doing a bit of a handshake as they move, and the floodgates in bottom, actually, you know what? As much as I want to talk about top side, I feel like there is so much kill threat down in bot with the Leona walking around that Lionel and leemas were expecting good things from them. This is the matchup where they can kind of run away with a bit of extra control, bit of extra wave clear. And a free lane until level 6 is the Thresh side of this matchup. I have higher hopes for them this time around that Kanga will deliver through their 2v2.
We'll have to, as that's what we banked our bets on, that's what we've believed in, and that's what we'll get to find out and see as we load back into the map for Game 3 of Day 2 here in the LCO. Kanga on the left-hand side and Direwolves on the right. An exciting time to see how this game does play out, and a chance for a little bit of insight with the coach of Kanga. It's Coach DRAK. How are you?
Pretty well, thank you.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear. You've got a very exciting roster with many familiar faces, household names that have been around in the region for a very long time. So how do we gauge expectations? What should be the focus here for Split 1?
Our goals for Split 1 is growth. We want to take all that experience that we have on our roster and use it to make sure that the fresher players come up to par faster, and then find our identity over the course of this split. That's the goal.
Yeah, fantastic. Is there a sort of a realistic expectation? Do you feel like teams are writing you off with some of these power rankings?
I think in terms of power rankings, there's a few really strong teams in the region at the moment. We'd like to think we can compete with them by the end of the split, but we're just going to have to see how our development goes.
Certainly will. Well, I appreciate your thoughts there, your wisdom and your insights, and we're going to crack on with this game. Good luck.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so before we get into this game too much, Skimmy, there is one thing that I really want to talk about, because to me it's super interesting. I don't know if it is to everyone. We'll find out when I say it, won't we? When team fights happen, a super cool thing about both of these teams is how they kind of draw their lines in the sand, right? And what like the battle arena will look like. Because you've got a Malzahar that's going to be standing in front of a Jinx, and then you've got the Thresh to protect the Jinx, and Ornn and a Viego to body out as well, and it kind of becomes like your standard front to back. But it's going to be a lot of beefcakes right in the front, just duking it out with each other, because on the other side it's a very similar thing, right? Leona, Xin Zhao are going to be sitting there protecting a Zoe, protecting a Jhin as they try and put down some damage. Now, I do think that in terms of a raw DPS front, they're a little bit less when you look at the two carries proper, right? A Zoe and a Jhin between a Jinx and a Malzahar. But you've got the flank angle from zorenous on Camille, which I don't think really exists on the Kanga side as much. Like, potentially from Only, of course. But those flanks are basically, in my mind, the difference maker between how the fight goes.
It just sounds to me, based on your points there, it's a case of utilizing proper setup, vision control, and ideas of how you want that fight to look to, really match and make good damage output on the same sort of ease of execution level. As you say, a Jinx that gets excited just runs you down. It's a point and click.
Yeah, well, it's a Jinx and a Viego. They get excited, effectively, right? Like, you've got resets on both of them in a way. You've got the composition to enable getting those resets. It's on direwolves to not die in the first place. No Zillion this time around, Skimmy, to prevent that one. It's all about doing the damage or preventing it. So there could be a lot of kills when these fights come, is my main point.
Won't get them anytime soon, though. Both junglers have an idea of where they're at. They did look for an early contest on that bottom Scuttle Crab. Is it just going to be a cross-map play here from Goodo, going to reveal himself in to go topside to find it? No, he's actually going to keep tabs, really, on where Only is. Drop a deep ward by the Raptors and possibly poke his head into mid, but going to be easier said than done, especially given the fact that Malzahar does have the Void Shift passive and can nullify at least a bit of CC.
He actually places a ward for the second spawn of the Raptor camp to see if he can find Only after the first resets. See where he chooses to go. They've got a lot of deep vision here on the direwolf side towards the junglers specifically. Their goal is very clearly to find Only. Where in contrast to that, if you look at the vision that exists from Kanga, it's more to be safe, right? More to protect the river, more to prevent Xin Zhao from ganking. Not so much to find where he is in the jungle. I'm just looking at this bottom lane real quickly as well, Skimmy. We didn't see a hook thrown once, I don't think, right?
No.
We're level 3. And it's the threat, right? It's not all Threshers have to throw a hook. And he's threatening that he could throw the hook at any moment, just keeping control of the bush.
Here we go, though, and that's the little interaction, the Flay to try and knock him away. You can Zenith Blade in, but you might not be able to follow up afterwards. Exactly what we saw there.
Correct, you might hit an E, you'll never actually hit the Q stun to follow up if Lionel is placed correctly. Relative to leemas. On his Jinx at 6, the matchup shifts a little bit, of course. You can just use your ultimate as Leona, who cares about the play. Be able to cover more distance. Ooh. Nice trade.
They've just copping a bit of a beating right here. Very fragile, getting closer and closer to level 6. And it's... Oh, he does not go for the all-in. Not opting for the ignite in this matchup. Going for the flash instead, but now turn your attention to bot lane. Oh! Cleanse into Lantern. Oh, no. He's done it. Goodo has flashed forward 4. I don't think it was necessary.
No,
Goodo
it was
picks
not.
it up with the ignite, but hey, it looks cool.
He was securing the kill. I'm not sure. So maybe in the direwolf's mind, just from a vision point of view, he didn't see the ignite ticking. He saw a cleanse, he saw a lantern, right? He's like, well, they're alive. But the ignite was used after the cleanse was. So Bulldawg once again coming in clutch timing-wise.
Yeah.
On that Leona, and I can only ask the question, Skimmy, what on earth was leemas doing there? Like, actually, though, what was he doing there?
Well, we're going to get a replay. Let's find out.
He had to have been placing the ward in the river. Yeah, he was dead to ignite no matter what. Hook was nice, but it was already, kind of the play was already over.
for him. He's going to fall on down. He's going to lose his flash. It's not the end of the world here for Goodo, but Only's going to deploy back onto the map and at least give them something to cheer on. First Drake of the game goes their way. It's going to be a mountain Drake at that. It's a bit of tankiness. Not going to be the worst situation for them, but all eyes really towards this mid lane now as ultimates are available. That means that Kyose, having shoved the wave, is on the prowl for a pick target with that sleepy trouble bubble.
You're going to have a pretty hard time finding a Malzahar with how far back he can sit. Of course, the vision now going to reveal them at the blue buff as well, but moving as a unit, no possibilities of a fight or skirmish to be seen from Kanga yet. However, that was an assist ping from Only saying this Gromp is not theirs. They can take the blue buff, they've earned it, but the Gromp is not theirs.
Uh-oh. Look at Chungy, freeway collapse, he's in trouble, passive is gone, there's the paddle start, it's the flash away, deadly flourish, good sidestep, never grasp on the turret! Kyose, he's too good! Kyose has flashed away and denied what should have been a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, Kyose actually flashes in to grab the Spell Thief flash, so knew that he had lethal. It was a good response from Chungy to use the ult, but numbers were there, zorenous top.
Nice one there from zorenous, hook shot to try and disengage away from that one, now to flash, the passive comes through, bit of extra mitigation! Hextech ultimatum to try and buffer an iframe, but can't really do it against these two tanks.
Yeah, just a little bit too much damage there. A good initiative from Kanga, right? That was a very forward-placed Camille who used the hook shot in what felt like a natural position, but that was towards Only on the Viego, who was already on his way up there. Rest of the team of Direwolves were making that play in mid lane. They disengaged towards the bottom side of it, so again, a logical choice from Only in terms of where he was going to go to trade. But just so fast on the trigger, I don't think this Camille had any real chance to respond to that one. However, the Herald they will respond to.
Wasn't much needed kill as well, bear in mind. Liv was down about 20 CS at the time, so that's going to try and help even out the odds here. And they did burn literally everything that the Camille has to offer. So down all the summoners. Same could be said for Liv to facilitate that play. And whilst they started off the Herald, they won't be able to finish it. That goes into the pocket here of Goodo.
Yeah, and right now it's Goodo and Bulldawg that are kind of commanding the Rift, right? They're always the ones with numbers in the right places. They go to the blue buff together. You see the Leona gets here first towards the Rift Herald when they're contesting that one, so Kanga have to cede the objective. And still, I would say in a very comfortable position is the Direwolves team overall. That play mid was huge, and honestly, I don't know if Chungy could have played it better.
No.
That's the crazy thing. Dial was just a little bit too clean with it. Except for that was not clean.
The Observer just keeps it there for a fraction longer. Just to rub salt into the wound. Yeah. You see Twitch chat always memeing people missing cannons. Well, you just missed the blue buff.
Yeah, that is a big cannon.
The biggest of them all.
Worth more and gives you more ability spam. Kyose will be real sad about that one. Forces another base, most likely, as well. Yeah. Nevertheless, he'll be okay. He's a Zoe. He's got a lost chapter. Things could be much worse for him. Direwolves out farming across the board as well, Skimmy.
Yeah.
Both carries doing very well for themselves. It's super important.
See it reflected there right now. Only for the side of Kanga, who has the most golds. He's all the way down in bot lane, sniffing out potential gank to try and assist his team there, whereas zorenous is getting excited once again and fighting those trading patterns to work in his favor. Nice answer back here from Lived. Not going to try to utilize the brittle proc if he can find it, but not going to take chances, especially because he spotted Goodo on vision.
And if you are looking at that CS difference top lane, it's equalized by the kill, so that's why that gank top lane was so crucial from the side of Kanga. Mid lane, unfortunately, is just going to be behind. And bot lane, Jhin very self-sufficient with minimal resources compared to that of the Jinx that wants to mythic as soon as possible.
It's not done yet.
Oh, that dash forwards.
Uh-oh, he's locked in place. Only cancels his base, comes in as he hit the stun. I think he missed it. The Heartbreaker comes out. There's the reset now. He is the Camille. The flash away from the Crescent's Guard, and it disengages away from the ult reset too. So, top lane is down. The junglers can tax.
Yeah, top lane is having a crack at it. You can see the mythic completed now by Lived. Yet to see it from zorenous in comparison. And I feel like Only's really happy with this situation, right? Money in the right place, getting some good money in his pockets, even though he's unfortunately not getting those kills. Chungy, in a similar vein to the Jhin, which was the point that I was going to make, is just behind, but is still fairly relevant, right? You need to press R. It costs them an extra 1,300 apiece if they don't want to get caught in your ultimate. So still in a position poised to do a lot, and I would say if I had to pick a favorite composition Skimmy, I probably would be leaning towards the Kanga side.
Sure.
Just a big fan of what they have put together overall, but Diabol's commanding the map really in comparison.
Certainly are. They've been the first on the map to try and steal things away. A little bit late to put up any kind of contest if they were considering it. Second Drake gone, and now we have the Chem Tank, or Chem Drake map, I should say, rather. Won't be available next patch. But we are on 12.1, so we get to enjoy and sort of see how these teams maneuver that Fog of War Cloud.
We're 12 minutes into this one now, so 2 minutes away from turret plates disappearing. And the funny thing is, and the reason I bring this up, is there's almost been no plates taken. It's really just been a game played in the river, right? Or a game played in the middle of the lanes when the plays happen. It's not a wave crashing into a kill into plates or anything of the like. It's just for kills that a lot of these teams have been playing for. 2 plates bottom, though, is probably the biggest thing. Jinx with the CS lead, I believe, got those 2 plates solo as well. So, it's a little bit more pretty, perhaps, than that of the Jhin.
We're going to find some plates in a second. Not the ideal positioning for this Herald Summon, but it shouldn't hurt their chances anyway, because 3 members once again are collapsing. Look at Bulldawg, always on this rotate, providing pressure, forcing only to back him up, ensuring that Herald will crash easily.
I'm just wondering what the next, I guess, major point of focus will be for both of these teams, right? Like, the Mythic completions are going to be a point to consider, but overall, they're fairly matched. Rift Herald being up in a minute 10 definitely is something that these teams will want to fight over. You can break the entire mid lane turret with that one. You could break the bot lane outer turret if you're Kanga with that one and open the Jinx up on the map as well. So it could be that we'll start to see some map flips. If that was the case, you're looking at one wave bottom, probably into a recall into a map move, or start to move up the river very soon.
Yeah.
Supports definitely will regardless. You can see that Lionel's already here, trying to play some vision down to help his team set up for the Herald.
Kanga have been furiously picking topside, looking for a potential gank again, it seems. As you say, Herald's putting in under 45 now. Both top laners do have their summoners available, so a potential chance to abuse the fact that we can burn them.
It is a leemas neglected, though, in the process. I think there is an argument to be made where you actually flip the Ornn down to the bot side if you're going to play Thresh for Herald vision. But now Thresh returns to bottom. It's hard to say that they're going to actively contest this Herald yet. As junglers
only looking for it. A blast cone is there if they ever so need it. Doesn't have to burn the flash just yet. Ornn ult comes out, knocks up one. Zorenous. He flashed out. He can now dash back on in. Looking for it. Chungy flashing more than the never grasp. You can hit the hexagon made him, but you're not escaping. A flash away. Oh, Super Mega Death Rocket does not connect. From downtown in the bot lane, it could have been huge, but only he's the one getting huge now. He's found himself a double. And he won't find much more, but that's a fight in a small space that Kanga loved.
I feel like there was maybe an interaction error there from Only, because he just took the Camille and had the hook shot, but he might have spammed E too fast and definitely just got stuck Spider-Manning on that Krug wall. Otherwise, it could even have potentially been at least a flash force or a third kill, but listen, the jungler of Kanga, regardless of how that played out in the end, just goes off. And it felt messy, right? He gets the first skirmish, he goes over the wall to disengage, he flashes it. And now you've got Liv looking for the fight, only ready to ult back into the mix. Liv says, I'm out. And actually gets saved by the Camille ult, cancelling him almost, and chooses to still flash the wall while Only's going back in. That's just very messy, right, from Kanga communication-wise. And you can see, I think the hookshot just, something went wrong there, it was fishy.
Something else could be going wrong here in a second, because all the shots of the curtain calls come on through. Lionel receiving the bubble, feels the pain, gets dropped down to 50%, but does not really mind. Back to base he will go, the Herald's still intact. And the lane rotations start to take place. That is a teleport used here by Chungy to prevent that dive from going against them.
And it could well just be Chungy now walking towards the Herald side of the map himself. You know, the teleport's still there from the Ornn. We'll see how he plays it and time-wise what they're after. because Dragon is also now up in 30 seconds. Both teams have one Drake, so it's not an immediate play for like a third Drake or a soul point yet. But given that it is the Chemtech Rift, there's going to be a couple of stink clouds everywhere. It's going to be a pretty big incentive to play for the Dragon, perhaps over the Herald at all times. Kind of an insane Dragon, no?
Yeah. Pentile Shred is a little bit broken. To mention the soul, obviously, afterwards, the reanimation effect of a second chance at winning a team fight. Worth noting that the only teleport available right now is Lift. He holds all the marbles. That's why he's in top lane, but is not matched by zorenous. He's grouped up for the 5-man squad. The emphasis is, we need this Dre. Oh no, Only's in trouble. Is the TP going to come on through? It's not. They've left him. A lamb to slaughter. They found their pick, and a crucial one at that.
Yeah, they get exactly what they're after, right? They get a pick, but it's also onto the jungler. It is one of the stronger points of Kanga as well in Only. It means the resets are gone. The team fight threat really doesn't exist. You've got a cheeky Q here from a Malzahar and a Comet, but it's just not going to be enough. A nice attempt, but at the end of the day, they're looking at a top lane turret instead as the point to trade. Bot lane turret already broken as well by the Jinx prior, so overall, Kanga's still pretty happy with this one. It just means that the second Drake goes the way of Direwolves, who, in their own rights, are starting to get really, really terrifying, actually, wherever Kyose goes.
They made a very conscious decision that this is the focus. We're happy to sacrifice the top lane turret as long as we can guarantee that a soul point is up for the grab. You know, you stack 3 of those Chem Drakes together, and you find yourself in one-shot territory, especially with these 2 carries that they have.
So it does seem like we're going to get another skirmish on the top side. Dragon flips to Herald. Vision is not actually set up just yet. But you've got Ornn in the fight this time around. Exhaust ready, ultimate ready, and just numbers. I'm going to be playing the number game. Zorenous showing bottom with no teleport means that there's no contest. And instead, Direwolves are just going to crash waves, get some extra money. We spoke about what the Herald could mean a few minutes ago, but now it's just the mid lane outer turret. There's really no other objective place to put that one right now. I don't think there's any safety net to place it on a side lane inner turret for that pressure either. Not unless they get a pick first.
Battle of the skill shots between both AD carries here in mid lane as the rest of the team protect them, but this is the danger. Direwolves can just walk their way into the jungle, and Only's going to be spotted in a second. He's in trouble. Hits the unstoppable clips, gets stunned, gets hit, just out of range of that 4th and final shot. The box goes down, but as a Paddle Star utilizing terrain effectively, so much range, but it still goes against him. Camille falls on down. Here, rocks up Lift. The Ornn Horn comes on through, negated there by the stasis. Stopwatch utilized, but the Brittle Charge comes across. Headbutt, knocked up, and exhausted too. Good Paddle Star. Liv can't find the execute. Bulldawg also going golden. Multiple members of Direwolves fragile, blinking health bars, and soon to fall on down. Kanga, target selection is messy, but they're putting the damage, and they're soon to secure all these kills. Just the rot damage of this Malzahar, bouncing between these targets and taking out 4.
Yeah, look, we said we were going to get messy skirmishes. We said we were going to get a lot of kills in these team fights. That's the first example of all of the bloodthirsty action that's to come in this game. And it's good to have an even game of League of Legends Skimmy in the LCO finally. It feels like we've actually got a cracker on our hands. Crazy fight as well, and a weird position. I think the biggest issue for Direwolves is where this fight takes place, because you're next to a turret. You've got a Jhin so distant, and you've also got a Zoe that can throw a bubble, but has to tank the mid lane turret to have any influence here. So, not exactly useful. And then it's a Viego and a Jinx that get excited, get the resets, Lived finally gets a flank, and this is just so good for Kanga. There's really no world where you're looking at Direwolves from those resets saying they've got a shot, but Chungy was here so late, so Direwolves actually had the number advantage for a significant amount of time, and enables them to get a couple of trades. A missed play here as well from Lionel on the bottom of the screen means that 80 carries also trade their lives. Junglers will eventually trade their lives as well. It's just chaos.
What I really appreciate was the start of that fight, how Only pretty much baits out everything that came their way. He's able to draw them into that false sense of hope. They're able to turn things around and utilize the fact that you're fighting in our jungle, in our quadrant, with our safety net of those turrets, that we can jump in and out of that fog to find the kills that we so desperately need to keep this game in our possession. It is a very close game, as you mentioned. 21 minutes in, the kills are close, the gold is close. Only 1k separating these two.
It is an incredibly close game, and the crazy thing is I don't think there is a specific outscaling or break point where one team is just dominant over the other one. We are just going to be playing our compositions out as they are designed to do. Malzahar going to look for picks. QSS tax check. We're 20 minutes in. It's not expected just yet. It could be, but no one feeling super threatened. There's so much. Oh, hang on.
Oh, that's nice. The portal comes on through. He says, you can't do that for free. Not on our face. Absolutely not. The solar flare now goes on to 1, but the rest of the direwolves don't decide that that's the fight that they're after. There is a dragon spawning in 25 seconds. It was a risk, an opportunity, but a cost they weren't willing to pay.
Yeah, but it's also now Malzahar without an ultimate at the objective. Zoe basically unleashed, fights on again.
Liv finds the stun, headbutt into the wall, on towards that Leona, down to 50%, locked in place there, but a stasis! Only gets the first kill, knocks up the second, and the zap confirms that leemas is getting excited. Those two in particular are having their fun. The Herald started it, and now to secure it. All the adders are gone here for direwolves.
And they finally find the fight that they were really after. That bubble could be quite big, actually. Nice stopwatch.
Got the moves.
Ooh, that could have been a kill. Yeah, he's got some fancy feet there, doesn't he? Close to dying, but the Drake secured Skimmy. And this is actually a huge fight, because that first little attempt at a pick in mid was really nothing doing in the end. It was a good Malzahar ultimate. You can see the punish that's potentially there onto a Zoe, but there was no damage follow through. The consequential fight, however, going so heavily in the way of Kanga, you're seeing what their composition is really made of. Because Lived is genuinely just a fridge, right? Just standing there, holding the door open, inviting them in. The cold air is not helping direwolves to win the team fight. Zoe hits a bubble to kick off the second part of this fight, and the Malzahar gets chunked, but he's got no ult. It's all about leemas and what they're able to do. And the CC lock just a little bit too good. And nothing that they can really do to trade once the first kills come across, like we mentioned.
2 Drakes apiece now. And that's going to help Kanga be a little bit more secure in their spot of this game, as we mentioned. It was a 1k lead before. That's been tripled as a result of this. It'll be a very long time before we even consider the idea of a soul point, even if it goes to an Elder. Baron's been on the cards, but teams have not been interested for that just yet. I think we're very much keen on the idea of playing the map, utilizing these gank-heavy junglers to try and force the numbers advantage.
So here's the big thing, right? We have seen direwolves try and initiate a fight, and that was a fairly even trade overall, but it was on the Kanga side of the fence. They kind of weathered that storm. They then won a team fight themselves. Oh. Nice try, but just able to walk away. Kanga have effectively won 2 fights back-to-back is my main point, so they're starting to get a little bit of momentum for themselves. It's a 0-5 Camille in stark contrast to a very large Ornn.
Yeah.
There is now genuinely huge points for Kanga to just run away with this game with.
And just look how fed leemas is, right? 2k over Frost. Big, big Jinx. 2 items complete. Working his way towards that armor penetration as well. Lord Dominic's might just tip him over. But that really does hurt for Chungy, as you saw before. A flash to try and catch a Kyose, but maybe he'll seize an opportunity once again. But direwolves definitely on the back foot.
Just the Spell Thief flash there from Zoe, not the true flash to be used. Still in a big point. Zoe has one hit potential at all times. leemas, of course, has the cleanse though, so the bubble's not going to be just as easy as that. There's also the Thresh Lantern, but there's no Braum to literally put up a door and prevent that damage. It is insane damage. 2 completed items, full spell pen build. But for me, that's kind of it as their damage goes, right? It's not a consistent teamfight damage out of a Jinx. It's not the consistent damage you would say of a Malzahar really as well onto those tanks. Similar thing for Only. So I'm starting to worry that they are being a little bit outscaled actually. Even though it's only 3k.
It's just going to take such a long time before zorenous can really look to try and mirror that of what Lived is contributing. Terrified in the side lane. You can see a bit of a difference there. The kDTXY doesn't look too pretty at this stage. We give it a Ravenous, perhaps a Death Dance or a Sterix. A chance to be nimble, a chance to threaten with some TPs, some backdoors, some split pressure to prevent the inevitable of a Malzahar finding picks and, you know, creating a feast, a banquet, if you will, for Ornn and leemas to take down.
Well, we're nearing 2 full items completed from the direwolf side of the fence and no one paying their taxes. Skimmy. Bit of evasion going on over the other side there. Which basically means that if Chungy gets a priority target, presses his R button, they could just lose the game. The positioning has to be pretty perfect. I think they're lucky that he used his flash top lane before for the opportunity that just went wide. Be a very different game in the next, 30 seconds leading up to the DRAK, but we'll see how they play this out.
It has calmed down a lot, though. We have seen these players look to try and threaten ganks in the side lanes, trying to catch up these members, but the opportunities have passed them by. Another DRAK up in 20. That's what they're keen on. A soul point win con, and a chance that would very much guarantee that you will be winning that next team fight. The team fight with respawn time is at that point of the game would be enough to end the game.
Nah, I've decided leave to 1v9s. That's the angle from here on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Jhin definitely has more doms.
Oh!
Okay.
Stealthy flash, but not the real flash. He couldn't double flash away. He'd been taunting, he'd been annoying them. But finally, they've locked the Zoe in their grasp.
Only is the apex predator in this game. He finds his target. Zoe, I mean, it was inevitable, right? You keep playing with fire, you are going to get taken down eventually. Didn't get to see the lead up to that pick, but a huge pick nonetheless. Will secure the dragon 100% for free and opens up an avenue for topside vision control because they can clear out what's there from the direwolves. And that's the one person that can't afford to be picked off. Just genuinely cannot.
He has been their strongest member this game. Got the most farm. It's been a bit of a nuisance. Haven't seen the true unleashed potential of a Zoe just yet. The fights haven't really worked in their favor. The positioning to be frustrating, to collapse upon properly. As you say, he'd been taunting him for far too long, but eventually he was going to get burnt. This dragon, or I should say this Baron rather, really just a distant afterthought. I mean, there's always been a flurry of wards around it, but it's more so a deterrent than anything.
Yeah, I mean, the next steps for Kanga is just work together, clear the vision, get control of the river proper as much as they can. There is one ward, 2 wards left to be cleared actually near the top lane outer turret for Kanga that are teleport flanks, which is a little bit deadly. But once they clear those wards, the Baron is basically right for them to push mid lane, work towards it. Win conditions for direwolves, it can't be a split push anymore. Camille's too far behind, it's an engage.
Here we go. It looked like the first real move here to retaliate back from the direwolves. They find the Solar Flare. Couldn't call, is cut short. Import TP from Lived, hits the stun on 1, gets drowsy, but is able to hit R2. And that will be it. The fight fizzles out in mid lane.
If that fizzles into nothing, that is really good for direwolves because that was a teleport from top lane. We'll see what it becomes because Kanga obviously with their top laner here are very content taking the 5v5. Zorenous is going to walk bot lane, so Kanga's response is to force the teleport now as a trade, at the very least, by hitting this Baron.
Got to be careful here, Kyose. He held his restraint to not go in on that play because a death sentence was lined up to take him down. The Baron is still being leashed and a 4K, but a flash on forward and look to try and lock on this target. Bulldawg was the recipient of the Nevergrass. In comes Goodo, looking to try and do whatever he can, but he's left to the wolves. He's on his own. He flashes on out. They find that kill, though. They take out Liv. The fridge is empty. It's been unplugged. It's been taken down.
There's food shortages. Direwolves will be able to find the pick and they'll actually stop the advance, right? They'll stop the onslaught that was coming out slowly and methodically from Kanga. A little bit of indecision with that Baron as well because it was at 4k health, it was super close to a finish angle. They changed their minds. They really wanted the turn, not the finish. And that indecision hurts. A flash Malzahar on a Leona is not it. Teleports come in.
Yeah, beats TP back to this one. What can they find? Solar Flare is available. Here it goes. It doesn't go wide. Oh, they blocked the rocket. It's not going to be stolen today. The Baron is picked up by Zoe of all people. A flay back from Goodo, who has no flash. He's going to die. How many of these Baron buffs can they continue to keep on? Chungy gets a double kill. And in the end, it's only going to be a few members that will retain this.
Yeah, but they get the Baron, right? So once again, the win condition of this direwolves composition is so difficult to execute when your split push threat is 0-5. but they keep the teleport, they get the Baron, they have 2 items on the Camille now, even though he's 1 item down. One of them's magic resistance. Well, watch how this skirmish happens, because again, leemas is not with his team. He is completely separated. You can't even see him until he throws that ultimate. And Frost just clutches up. There's not much more to say about that,
Yeah,
right? Frost just clutches up, prevents the resets, gets a recall off with the Baron buff. MVP in that fight from Direwolves. The rest of the skirmish was fine, but Jin's putting on a clinic on how to play assassin flank Jhin angles onto the assassin flank Jinx. Neither of which necessary, but one clearly winning.
That's a very good point. I'm glad the observers actually caught that too. Well played there by Frost. And we find ourselves in another situation where another fight will have to take place, because this time a soul point is up for grabs.
But this game was 1 fight away from done in favor of Kanga, and now we're staring at a Baron buff Direwolves and a chance.
Well, they want to remove the 3 that do still remain. The rocket goes out. Oh no. Only's in trouble. Tries to iframe it. Manages to disengage away. He's baited enough. He's baited Direwolves in. They find that kill. Zorenous now 0-6. Not a game for him, but Goodo goes golden. And as he comes out, he falls on down all the same. leemas is excited, but it's starting to calm down. But Izzy live headbutts in. They find another. 2 Baron buffs are there. 1 taken down. The Direwolves are having their base taken down.
Yeah, and look, the chance just gets squashed immediately. Baron buff gone. Once again, the Ornn 1v9 angle is definitely there. Stand in front of the Jinx and look what happens.
Well, they found their prize, isn't it? They've taken out the inhibitor with that successful skirmish. They should just be able to freely disengage away from this one. Pick up the Chem Tank Soul.
Yeah.
That's an 18% shred against members with higher health than you, plus the soul of a reanimated body. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, you can't complain getting a bit of cheeky reanimation. No idea how that interacts with Viego. We'll be curious to see it. What actually happens if you kill someone and then you turn into someone else, but you're in undying form? Who knows? Glad it's disabled. That's all I'm going to say next patch. Either way, it's the soul, it's the mid lane inhibitor. It's a great opportunity for Kanga to actually close this game out. It's crazy that it's only 2,000 gold difference. The effective gold value is, of course, rising because there is lived, right, with the ornaments, with the extra items that everyone's getting. So the perceived value rises. leemas, of course, being at the top of the list. Frost doing his absolute best to stay with it, but just isn't a Jinx in stark contrast. Isn't the Aphelios that we saw from him yesterday either.
Those putting in the hard yards. Keep this team in with a chance. Haven't really been able to find any real value with this Baron. Also a denial. How do they deal with the threat of this soul now? They have been having to force fights, be a little bit reactive. Never really had an invitation to try and push the split push, utilize the Camille to its fullest extent. Stardust to question, what is their next move?
I mean, they have no choice but to play for picks still. If you're Direwolves and you want any chance in this game, you got to hit a bubble, you got to hit a Jhin W, you got to find the Leona angle. You have to still plant the Camille into a side lane and threaten. But realistically, the way that this now operates is it's not a 1v1 where Ornn loses. It's a Camille threatening empty side lanes where Kanga are grouped as 5 and can threaten with the Ornn ultimate at any moment. It's a very different dynamic that Zorenous has to play out here. One that can lose them the game in a heartbeat, but I do still feel like that's their only win con.
Oh, that's a max range, never grasp. You use the portal, you disrespect me. This is why the Malzahar was drafted. A flash away! The Bulldawg still gets hit! Is he going to fall on down? There's Solar Flare! He's living! How on earth is he living? He gets out scot-free and back in the fountain and no one has died.
He clutches up with the locket there as well, just barely keeping himself alive. Heal used by Frost also, and just the tiniest amount of health away from falling. Zorenous takes the bot lane inner turret, but the cost was an entire inhibitor. So again, this is not the kind of split that actively wins you a game unless Kanga make a mistake. That's the kind of split pushing that they're going for now, is relying on errors from the winning team.
Can we just quickly and quietly talk about the fact that both these AD carries are playing in the dark, so much so that leemas, I can't even see him anymore. Literally, the lights are out, and then you see the support players. Look at it!
It's gone! Turn the light on, man. That's not good for you.
And then the supports are illuminated. Is that not just the yin-yang of a bot lane duo?
No, that is true. Supports are definitively better people. They are the light of that dark role of the AD carry. No bias, by the way. Zero bias.
Oh no, zorenous. It's a three-way collapse. Where are you going to go this time? An early flash. He can't sidestep the zap, but he can a death sentence, but he has been sentenced to death.
Yeah, he's just done for. I mean, they pick on the wound effectively here from Kanga. They have to go bottom. It's obvious that they will. But that was the one lane that zorenous had going his way, right? That was the one place, and his window was gone. He doesn't need to be there when he falls down, but he does fall, and now it's a 4v5. Not looking like there is even a small chance of preventing this one if Kanga play it correctly.
Two waves of super minions about to flood the base through mid and top. Pressure that Diables will have to deal with, but it's going to be easier said than done. Kanga, the map belongs to them right now. They can sit, they can dance, they can watch the base cripple and fall on down.
Here comes the
Here we go. On towards the Nexus. One turret gone. One of the Forge Goldies utilised nice and early, but to no real effect. The fight isn't about to break out. Glacial Augment on the hook. You're locked in place. Couple that with an Evergrass once again, and that is a dead Leona. Now, can we find any more? Can we find that GG condition? Another hook from Lionel. He is messy. He is the GOAT. He says you can be bull gods, but I can land hooks too. And just like that, Kanga get their first victory off the split.
And it was a good victory.